All right, so I'm going to punish myself and have Josh on this podcast today. Josh, what's going on, man?
Well, we're just sitting here, and I'm realizing that in addition to punishing you, I'm slowly morphing into you. Apparently, our outfits are matching. That was totally unplanned.
Yeah, gray day, I guess. Gray winter day. Just getting back from snow camp. How'd that go?
Going in, I was excited. We have, again, like our youth I describe our youth ministry as almost this unicorn where we very biblically sound, but also tons and tons of energy, tons and tons of fun. And I was joking with people going into snow camp. I had two fears.
Yeah.
One, that our group size was going to be so large that we felt like we couldn't connect.
Yeah.
And two, middle school boys.
Yeah.
And
you did advance for the first time youth ministry to sixth grade.
Yes.
Which is a big difference, especially for boys. But really,
there seems to be a sizable gap between sixth and seventh grade.
Yeah.
But
the problem is the sixth graders don't really belong in children's programming anymore. No, so unless you have the bandwidth to have your own thing, which, you'd have to have enough leaders and all that, it makes more sense for them. And they love it. It's the older kids that are like, ugh.
But even then, to our older students' credit, and I've heard them grumble and say, they call them new gens. It's like a video game term.
Oh.
We used to call them noobs back in the day, but they call them new gens.
Okay.
These new gens trying to populate this place. Our older students have really taken them under their wing. There was this really cool moment actually on Saturday night where our older high school girls sat down with our 6th and 7th grade girls, and they were doing face paint, and there's some really cool photos.
That's awesome.
Actually, it'd be really cool, Steve, if you could find those even and just kind of pop them up. I can send them to Steve and for this broadcast. And just, it was really, really cool to see the older generation, like quite almost like hands and feet of Jesus, kind of stooping down to the younger generation and serving them, which is why I describe us as this.
Just briefly, what happens at snow camp? Because I know, obviously I know, but there's probably people that watch this that maybe have never been. Do they just go skiing? Because we call it, it's really winter retreat, right?
It is a winter retreat.
It's a nickname for it.
What we do is essentially we take students away from the norm and we give them the opportunity to be in a different place with a large, a group of people, high energy environment for a weekend. And we do our very best to it is this hyper-focused, hyper-relational time where we get them to focus in on the gospel. And again, we go to Camp Monadnock in Jaffrey, New Hampshire, and I think they do a remarkable job of this. And so what will happen is we arrive on a Friday night and we'll go to our cabins, get everything packed, and then from Friday night until Sunday morning, it is go, go, go. We'll have what we call program times in chapel with high energy games, incredible worship, biblical teachings, and then we'll have free time where, again, kids are playing broomball, they're playing mini golf, they're playing ping pong, there's a heated pool, and it's all designed for hyper relationship, hyper attention on Jesus. And what we're essentially giving teenagers is what they long for. Belonging and Christ.
Yeah. It's I always recommend parents, because I get it, there's a cost, especially if you have more than one kid. Yep. And it's like, God, do I really, and a lot of times especially certain kids, especially younger kids, they're a little bit, have some trepidation in that, being away from home and all that. And I get that. And every kid's different. But man, if there's even a remote possibility, don't be like, nah, they don't need that. What can happen there is life-changing at times. Maybe not always life-changing, but there's only so much you can do in 2 hours of youth group. Right?
And I see it largely as a culmination of the hard work that our team puts in throughout the year.
Yeah.
Right. It's, there's something like, yes, it's 2 hours, but when it's hyper intensive, all the things that they've learned throughout the year, all of a sudden come flooding in. And when they have more than 2 hours to process, holy cow, Jesus is actually the Son of God, and I am a sinner, and I'm lost in my sin without Christ. But thank God for the cross. I mean, again, we had 6 students I know verbally say that they committed their lives to Jesus.
Yeah.
And the stories that are coming out of that, it's more and more. And the students who are now wanting to be baptized, I mean, I was just having a conversation this morning with more who really want to take that step and be bold in their faith and say, hey, world, I am a teenager and I have confessed my faith in Christ. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I always advise parents, especially parents with younger kids they're going to be teenagers or are going to be in that way quicker than you think, right? But it's easy as a parent. You got young kids, so you see both, right?
My 7-year-old constantly talks to me about how excited she is for youth group.
And it's a little different, obviously, for her because you would be the, dad is. So there's good and bad in that.
Yeah.
But my point is, I think when they're younger, it's easy to think, well, we go to Bright maybe or Children's Church, and we definitely keep them connected.
Yep.
But we largely disciple our kids, and I think that's rightfully so. But it's hard sometimes to let go and be like, do they really need that? And I plead with parents, especially something happens, they hit that 12, 13, 14, 15. They still love and respect you, even if they don't act like it always. But they need other people in their lives. They have to have that.
Well, and actually studies, Jamie, you're spot on because studies actually say that you actually need, if you're going to really have a faith that sticks, you, in addition to your parents, you need 5 other adults in your life who are speaking that hope and truth over you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's learn it sooner rather than later is what I would say to parents. And I was always like, that was always important to Heather and I with Nathan and Grace is like, we are always there. I'm the pastor. So it's a little harder, right? Similar to what you'll experience is that, and then Heather did youth ministry and all that, but we had so many other people from children's ministry on speaking into their lives, and still to this day we do. So it's incredibly important. Eventually the parents, and there is something about snow camp, winter retreat that, and it's like, I mean, most adults, if you've ever been on a retreat yourself, you know how it works. It's a mountaintop experience. Yep. It's hard to come down from and realize, oh, the world's not like this all the time. So the danger there is to live for the mountaintop experience, right? And that can't be. But they are really helpful to have and to recognize.
Well, it's a catalyst.
Yeah.
It's a catalyst. And again,
like you said, baptism, get saved, or man, I got to get more serious about my faith.
But the fun part has been too, is this year especially, we're seeing Bible studies pop up and teenagers inviting their friends. We had, just last week, actually, we had teenagers invite their friends to a McDonald's Bible study.
Really?
Yeah, and they're posting about it on Instagram. Like, let's go, Big Macs and Jesus.
Man, I wish I could get some of our adults to do stuff like that.
And even now, like we've got some. The cool thing about our ministry right now too is our guys are really starting to step up and step into faith. And so we've got some young men who are on fire for Jesus, and they're kind of putting their arms around the guys like, hey, listen, we need to stay locked in. And so there are actually talks now about starting an apologetics Bible study right before youth group that's going to be led by our older male students, which is just remarkable to see. One, dudes interested in Jesus, but dudes stepping up into those leadership roles to lead the younger generation.
And so at Snow Camp, there's always that time, especially I think on Saturday night, but there's always that time where you just give them, hey, what are you struggling with? What do you? And Nathan, my son, was a youth leader and went, and he said, because this almost never happens, right? It's always the girl, because I've been there so many times, and you hear these stories with the girls, and I'm just like jealous, because it's like all we did was, guys, clean your stuff up, man. Come on, clean up, take a shower, whatever. And he said the boys are really, really opened up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do something, again, I think probably one of the poignant, most powerful moments of Snow Camp is Saturday night, where it's very intentional. The gospel message is presented clearly. And then there's this opportunity for small groups. And this was again, like my fear, are we too big to connect with one another? But what we've done over the past 3 years is we don't really get into small groups. We get into a large group circle. And we call that say so, based out of Psalm 107, which says, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. And we create this opportunity and this space for our students to say, hey, if Jesus has changed your life, say so. If someone in this group has led you towards Christ and has modeled Christ for you, say so. If you feel like Jesus has redeemed you from something that you've been struggling with, say so. And so there's this really cool picture of us from the weekend where there was a young man who shared some really intense stuff. I mean, these teenagers are struggling, and for him to open up about what he was walking through was one, remarkable, but two, the response of the group where they just flooded him. And he's pouring his heart out. He's bawling, and he's just talking about how God has saved him from this darkness. And just to see like 40 teenagers descending on him to hug him and pray over him was just powerful.
Wow.
But and
you could do that, and then everyone's just crickets. You're like,
but
the leaders would have to do it.
Well, the fun part is it's entirely student led. Right? Yeah. We as leaders intentionally step back from the circle, and we make sure that all the teenagers can see each other, and then they get to call each other out and speak that hope and joy over each other. And it's powerful when teenagers feel like, hey, I can be heard. And it's powerful too when teenagers realize, hey, I did something that matters, or I get to then bless somebody else by telling them what a blessing they were to me. And yeah, you like in years past, it's been girls, but this year it was the guys.
Yeah.
And there's times even when we're like, all right, guys, calm down. Can we, ladies, do you want to, but it was one of the most powerful moments I've ever been able to experience in the 13 years I've been doing youth ministry. Was the love and the encouragement and the propping up of one another in that room that night.
Since you've been doing it 13 years, what do you think is different now as far as what they struggle with? I know there's going to be similarities, and that's fine too, but is there different challenges that you've seen more recently or over that stretch of time?
I mean, I think it's twofold. One, I mean, when I started in 2012, so actually I've been doing this 14 years. I'm old, man. 14 years.
Time to write a book.
Yeah, right. Instagram was just getting started.
Yep.
I mean, again, like I remember being a senior in Miss Ash's art class in 2009 and getting Facebook. And then, and so I remember everyone had Facebook, and I wasn't actually allowed to have MySpace, right?
Yeah.
But I got Facebook, and then, as teenagers are always on the cutting edge of things.
Right.
And then Instagram comes along a few years later, and then all the parents are getting on Facebook and all the teenagers are getting on Instagram. And, right. And then I think it's then that we really started to see the world become very small. And the way I've heard it essentially is like, when you're in high school, when you're in middle school and high school, oftentimes that is your pond. Right. And so the comparison is largely contained to the pond, that small pond. But when you start realizing that this pond is now the entire world, and you are now having to compare yourself against everyone everywhere, that really begins to steal your joy. Yeah. And so again, with the rise of social media, and again, I don't believe social media is inherently evil. I just think that it's overwhelming for the teenage mind. Yeah. And so when you're constantly comparing yourself against the best of what people want you to see, you constantly feel inferior. You constantly feel like you aren't enough. And so, and then with the advancement of technology, and now you've got Reels on Instagram, and you've got TikToks and all these things. Now all of a sudden you're being hit with these things over and over and over again of I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, right? And then also they're starting to bring all the mess of the world into that, and now they're feeling despair and all these things, and where's the hope? Where's the joy? Where do I even matter? And so then you're seeing depression and all these things hit. So I think that's one of those things is what we're seeing is really just, again, teenagers really not feeling like they're important and feeling like they'll never measure up. And two, there's this book out there called the oh my gosh, I was talking about it with someone yesterday. It's The Coddling of the American Mind.
Mm-hmm.
And this idea of we have shifted from helicoptering our students to now snowplowing for our students, where instead of trying to monitor all the things that our kids are doing, we're now just trying to remove all the obstacles for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're seeing now is teenagers who haven't been able to develop resilience, haven't been able to develop the ability to fail well because all the resistance, all the obstacles are being moved out of the way for them.
Yeah.
And so when they face things that are challenging, they just shut down. Any amount of obstacle, any amount of pain, all of a sudden, because they really don't have these strong coping methods, they just shut down and they feel like failures.
Yeah, I think, well, we have millennials as the parents now.
Yep.
And millennials are probably the first generation that were pretty coddled, right? So
Yep.
it's like they're trying to figure out how to take their coddledness and be parents. And I was just thinking about this in relation to sports, shocker, how I feel like, I was just thinking about this morning. I feel like when you see online people commenting about whatever, right? We're in the middle of the NFL playoffs right now. It's like nobody can ever admit the other team is good if it's not your team. Like if your team loses, it's the ref's fault.
Yep.
The other team,
Yep.
they're lucky. We had injuries.
Yep.
We have this. We have that.
Yep.
And I get it. Sometimes there are good excuses, and you can be like, "Hey, man, we wouldn't allow." But
I'm a Steelers fan. We just lost 30
yeah, but sometimes you just say, "Man, yes, I'm really disappointed my team lost."
Yep.
But you were the better team.
Yeah.
But it's like you don't see that anymore. It's all we have to hate you because
Yep.
you win, and I think that's related to the fact that I can't fail. There has to be an excuse as
Yep.
to why I failed, even if it's my sports team.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and it's it's
So what do we do about that?
well, so growing up, my dad taught me to always have gratitude, to have delayed gratification. It's always better to wait. But the third thing he always taught me was self-reflection. And anytime you're in a situation, before you blame anyone else, before you think, ask yourself, what did I do to bring this about? Right. And it's imprinted in me to the point where I think I self-reflect to a fault now. But
Yeah.
he gave me an incredible gift.
Yeah.
Where now anytime anything happens, before I'm, be quick to blame, it's always, all right, Josh, what could I have done better? Was it what was it a planning thing? Was it a tone? Was it where did I misstep? And if I didn't, then it's okay.
What do we do about
What do
this?
we do now? But we are so quick to shift blame, and all these things that we've lost the art of humility. We've lost the art of admitting that I could have done better. I saw a cartoon the other day where, it's like 90s, early 2000s school teachers, and it's a parent-teacher conference, and the teacher's sitting at the desk, and the kid's got like this report card, and it's a D, and the parent is looking at at their student saying, explain these grades. Right. And now we're getting, and then next to it is this cartoon of like 2010 and up, where they're same exact situation. They've got a D on their report card, but it's the parent yelling at the teacher saying, explain these grades.
Right. Your fault. Your fault.
And again, so we are breeding in our teenagers this understanding that you need to blame everyone before you blame yourself. And that's dangerous, because eventually, if you've never really learned to own things, if you've never learned to deal with failure, all of a sudden, right, all of your excuses are going to run out. And now teenagers are looking at themselves and saying, oh my goodness, maybe I am. They've never learned how to deal with failure, never learned how to deal with their mistakes. Now they don't say, hey, I made a mistake. They go, I am a mistake.
Yeah. How can you have a biblical framework of humility and reconciliation and all that goes along with that if you're never taught you are going to fail?
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Well, and I think that's it, is
It's how you respond.
Right. I joke. I say this tongue in cheek, but you know, we always tell Kara anytime she messes up, like, honey, like you are a sinner.
Right.
You're a filthy, rotten sinner, just like your mom and dad. Like we all sin. We all fall short. And instead of seeing that as something to be like, oh my gosh, like I'm broken and filthy and rotten and disgusting. No, just say, hey, listen, it's part of who we are. We mess up and that's okay.
Right. Right. It's how we respond to it.
And exactly. But it's this, yeah, we do need to we do need to create this biblical framework within our students that, hey, like, no, like you're a sinner, like you are going to fall short. But we then need to couple that with the tenderness and the grace and the mercy that we ourselves receive from Jesus. That, hey, like, yeah, when we confess our sins, there is forgiveness for those things. And that's a holistic model to live out that's multifaceted, but it really, again, like one, and then we talk about performance. I mean, you're asking me, what are the three things too? I feel like the need to perform for teenagers is higher than it's ever been. Right. I mean, I just started putting my daughter in indoor soccer. She's 6 years old, and we go down and we play indoor, and her team got beat 30-2 the other week. 30-2.
Hey,
and look, like that's fine.
At least they kept score. Usually they stop.
The team she was going up against, like they had matching jerseys with their names on the back of them, and like these sweatsuits, and like the coaches all had like the matching stuff, and I'm like, there's 6, you know. But again, it's that performance.
And what good is it playing a team like this? Go to a tournament somewhere where there's other teams.
And listen, to Kara's credit, right? She was like, hey, we got beat. We got to learn, which go Kara, you know, but it's that performance idea of
sports are
from the moment that they're able to walk, we now need to measure them.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure that they have the best of everything, the best gear, the best training.
And divide to them too.
Yes.
Like at 6, we're saying, oh, you're in the A team. You're in the, and it's like, they haven't even come close to puberty yet.
And so, but here's the thing is now kids are growing up basically being told, this is the level that you need to be at. And we've turned them into performers and professional athletes almost, instead of just letting them be kids.
And a lot of kids quit, not just sports, but whether it's music or whatever activity it is, because they're like, well, I'm not at that level. Yeah. It's like, so what? Like when I was a kid, you had the kids who weren't great athletes, but they still played. Yeah. And it was good for them. It was good for their bodies. It was good for their minds. It was just good because they were around kids and were just at home playing video games. Yep. They did stuff because, but nowadays there's a lot of these kids that played when I played that wouldn't play anymore because like, wow, I'm not going to make it to Division I college. Like none of us are making to that.
Goodness no. But to come back to the biblical framework, Jamie, it's this idea of I have this standard that I need to be at.
Yeah.
Right? I need to be good enough. And again, that's not the gospel at all.
No.
The gospel says you're not good enough. And that's okay.
Yeah, it's like don't bring your kid and then your teenager to church and teach some of the grace of God found at the cross, and then the rest of the week be pushing them to be, if you're not an A student, a perfect athlete, then you're not. Then you've somehow lost. They're gonna, the 1 hour in church or 2 hours in youth group isn't gonna be enough to combat that in their minds. No. Yeah.
And so we're seeing these kids who are silently suffering because they're trying to please, they're trying to measure up to what their parents want. And listen, like it's not bad to it's not bad to set proper boundaries.
You got to find the balance of you pursue excellence and be okay that you're not always going to be excellent.
And I think I think that's where my heart is breaking a lot, is just seeing these students in tears over these impossible expectations that they have for themselves.
I was going to ask you that. So, I mean, obviously, not asking to give away like specific situations, but in general, as you listen to your teenagers talk and share struggles, what are some common themes of what they are struggling with?
They just feel like they're drowning. I mean, you know, our younger students, right? They don't have jobs yet, but I mean, they are feeling like the pressure of these academic standards, and then also the curriculum. It's right. Like we live in an upper white middle class area, so right the pressure get into the right college and all those things starts at a young age. You gotta build that portfolio, right? You got students who are like, oh man, I'm struggling with PSATs and all these things.
Yeah.
And I gotta get in these, I gotta build that portfolio. I gotta be in the clubs. I'm gonna be doing all these things, right? And they're exhausting themselves. They're not allowing themselves the rest that they need. But it's this compound thing where you've got to get up early for school, and then you've got all these programs, and then you might have extracurriculars on top of that, and then you've got homework, right? And then by the time you're actually able to get home and do your homework, and like it's 9:30, and you got to be up in 8 hours, and so it's this pressure to perform that is just destroying them. And again, and I think the thing that hurts is just they're constantly apologizing to me. Like, I'm sorry. And it's like, hey, it's okay.
Apologizing why they can't go to something.
Can't go to something, I can't do this. I can't. And I'm like, listen.
Right.
It's okay. I need you to hear that. And I don't think they hear that enough of. Like they're constantly told, do, and the gospel says be. Abide, slow down. But in a performance-driven society, that's antithetical to the performance gospel.
Yeah.
Is to slow down and be in. And so I see them, and they're like, they're just overwhelmed, and they constantly are just pressing it down and pressing it down and pressing it down. And we just want to give them this space. And again, we can only do it for 2 hours, but this space to just let them loose, to let them relax.
Yeah.
To let them be teenagers. And I think, Jamie, to a degree, coming back to snow camp, they get to do that at snow camp.
Yeah.
There's tons of free time. There's nothing you have to be doing.
Right.
And so they get to experience the freedom of, I can just talk with my friends.
Right.
It's not something I have to do right now. There's plenty of fun that they can have, and fun, and can incur, and while they're doing
they're
those
just sitting
things.
around bored.
But also, right, and we challenge them away from their devices, right? Because again, devices. Well, again, I'm not anti-device, but if you're looking at a device and you're doom scrolling, your body might be physically rested, but your brain isn't. And so, snow camp, again, to a degree, is a detox from that. Where all of a sudden they're getting to experience the joy that comes from not being on my device, from slowing down, from having fun, from being relational, from getting to just be a teenager. So yeah, they're go, and they don't have helpful outlets to really slow down. Like reading, then we don't read anymore. We fall asleep with our phones in our hands instead of listening to music or going for a walk outside, or as the teenagers would say, touch grass, Like, you just need to go outside and touch some grass, bro. That's their thing.
I like touching. I wish I could touch some grass now.
Touch grass, man. Not with this. Yeah, well, we're about to get 2 feet of snow. So,
so with that, the devices and social media, I'm not asking you to have the answer because I think we uncorked a monster that we can't put back in the bottle, right? Yeah. And I used to get like really depressed, probably the wrong word, but just really down about the fact that like we're screwed, right? But I feel less like that. I think as you think about history and how things course correct, I do believe in this generation they are going to course correct.
Yes,
they'll make their own mistakes.
Sure.
But as a parent right now, like I think the temptation on either side when it comes to devices and social media is to completely give into it.
Yep.
And just be like, they're all doing it. There's nothing I can do. They can have a phone. They can be on Instagram. I'll do my best to monitor it and help them. And then there's the other, like, you can't have a phone until you're in college, And maybe that's the right answer. It feels to me like some kind of balance where we'll let you have some of it because otherwise you're just like it's going to be hard for you to relate to anyone. But you got to touch grass a lot more than you're touching grass.
Well, and like even like doctors are now prescribing like with this over anxious generation. It's literally eat better, right? Because I mean, again, like we're go, go, go.
Yeah.
The amount of family, I think the average family has a meal together once a week.
Yeah.
Something like that. Right. And so but with all our sports, all our activities, like we're consuming all kinds of processed stuff. And so our diets are awful. And again, like these kids, they need 9 hours of sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're getting, like 5.
And they're going to bed at 11 and they're in bed at 11, but they're scrolling until midnight. And then they got to be up at 5. So getting 5-6 hours of sleep a night for a teenage brain is so destructive. And then oftentimes too, right? They're just inside on their devices. And instead of going outside, and again, going outside is it's not rocket science. You go outside, you go for a walk, you get vitamin C from the sun, you feel better.
Yeah.
You just do, but it's creating that habit and pulling us away from our addictions to our devices. That is it's going to have to be a whole family thing.
Yeah, because adults are doing the same thing.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
We're worse, probably.
Well, actually, to a degree, Jamie, we are.
Yeah.
Is like we're telling our kids you need to be better about your devices, but then
yeah, because they have places where they
but
have to.
We're adults, we need our devices. You're a teenager, yours is optional, but no, it's and the teenagers see through that hypocrisy.
Right, or you just know you're hypocrites, so you don't really come down on your kid. You're like, what am I going to do?
Well,
and it's a lot easier, especially when they're younger. It's like if they're on their device, I don't got to worry about them. I should be, but I don't have to worry about them going, I'm bored. This is stupid. Da, 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 like we used to do.
But boredom is so important for we've taken away boredom from teenagers.
Yeah.
And that's actually not a good thing.
No.
Because they don't know how to create. And then you've got Chat GPT now, which is just taking away their creative ability, right? In fact, I heard once that a professor took away all their devices, put a pen and a piece of paper in front of them, and gave them a creative prompt that they had to do without their devices. And he said, almost all of my students couldn't do it. It's college students.
Yeah.
At a really prestigious university. So if we're taking away boredom, now we're taking away creativity, and what are we doing now?
It's funny if you're a parent and you're like, I really want my child to succeed. You should hear this and say, instead of worry about their portfolio all the time and worried about whether they're getting an A+ versus a B+, create that space early and don't stop where they have to read, they have to write, they have to do art, they have to create, depending on the kid, not everybody, but, and watch how they thrive eventually as probably as a major leader amongst their peers, because their peers are like, ooh, I don't know, let me try, see what Grok says, and they're like, oh, actually, this is what we should do, and it'll put them head and above their peers if they do that. More importantly, though, they're going to be healthier.
Well, and so there's this, right, and there's this, I don't know if it's a ministry or just a group called Wait Till 8 for cell phones.
Mm-hmm. Wait till 8?
Wait till 8th grade.
Oh, okay.
Wait till 8th grade.
Yeah.
Right, and
right,
because I understand, but I mean, like, and I would argue, right, if I really shouldn't give middle schoolers access to social media. Yeah. Like being a middle schooler is hard enough. Mm-hmm. Right. But then give them access to social media and it can get really messy. Because the question that they're asking in middle school is, who am I? Mm-hmm. Right. And so if you couple who am I with all of the things that they can see on the internet, that can be highly disruptive and destructive to their development. Mm-hmm. Because who am I while comparing myself to the very best, and again, I say it very intentionally, the very best of what people want you to see, or what they've created, what they've cultivated for you to see. Mm-hmm. Now, in the very developmental ages, they're going to say, well, I'm not that. I'm nothing. When they're asking, so when you ask yourself, who am I? And they're going to say, I'm insignificant. Now, all of a sudden, you're going into high school and they're saying, why am I? And I'm like, well, I'm insignificant. So why am I even here? Mm. And that's just wreaks destruction on their development. Mm. And so when we talk about waiting and proper boundaries, I really, and again, I have good friends who are holding firmly till 8th grade, and it is through gritted teeth at times. And I see them struggling, and I see their kids struggling with this, and I constantly encourage them that you're doing it right, and I'm sorry that it's hard right now.
Yeah, and it does amaze me how many parents don't know all of the different protection when they do it.
Yeah.
Even high school, to just let them loose.
No, you can't.
No, like
Absolutely
and it's very
not.
simple. Like with my kids, it was their internet access on their device turned off at like
Yes.
at a certain time at night, and then they would turn on in the morning, and so they had to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Or do something
Well,
else.
phones. The study after study after study shows that teenagers get an extra hour of sleep if their phones aren't in their rooms.
Yeah.
Right? And kids will say, "Well, I need to wind down. I need to detox." Right? You got to find better methods than
book.
being on your phones.
Here's a book.
Here's a book. But also,
It's pretty sad that you're actually happy when they watch TV and you're like,
or ready. They're like, "I need an alarm." Call that bluff. Buy them a $10 alarm clock off Amazon.
Yeah.
Put it in their room. See how quick that argument holds up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But phones are a privilege, not a right.
Right.
And so they need to have their devices out of their rooms at night because it's quite literally destroying them. And yes, again, I say this to parents all the time. If you hand your child a phone that has no blockers on it, they will be watching porn.
Right.
They will be seeing inappropriate content.
Yep.
You cannot give them unfiltered access to the internet. You have to put boundaries on them. We as adults struggle with boundaries on our devices. Like my wife and I both have like time boundaries on our phones, and I'm 35, you know? Because again, but I don't want to set a precedent for my daughter that we are above boundaries. And so as parents, it starts with us. We need to set boundaries. We need to grit our teeth and put into practice what we maybe very gently or even kind of half-heartedly tell our kids. And again, we'll see changes in our lives, but parents, hear me.
Meal times are a big one too.
You got to put your phones away at mealtime.
Yeah.
Because again, what students see when you are looking at your phone instead of their face is that I'm not important.
Yep.
As that. And so then when we give them devices, they've been programmed that, okay, the second you give me my phone, I don't have to pay attention to you either.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's hard,
Yeah.
right? And I've given permission for my daughter to take my phone away. She's 7, and sometimes I think that, there's times where I actually am working. Right? She loves that. She loves that role. But
Yeah.
I think to a degree, we have to, as parents, hold ourselves to the same standards that we're holding our kids to. Because if we're hypocrites, everything we're saying is just going to right over our kids' head.
I think through the generations, parents, the whole idea is you can be successful is you've been through it. And so like better than your kids, like this isn't good for you. Eat your vegetables,
Yep.
Get to sleep, brush your teeth, da-da-da-da. It's very basic examples. But even a lot of other things with friends and all of that. Because things would change in society, but they wouldn't change all that much, right?
Yeah.
But I think the generation that had these kids with the devices, which was really my generation, maybe the internet existed for the millennials, but not this pocket device,
Yep.
right? And so I'm trying to parent through a situation that I don't know.
You didn't have to.
I don't know. Like, yeah, dude, don't do that because I got hooked to this or I did that.
It's true.
Like for me,
We're experiencing it at the same time.
because when it came to Nathan, I'm like, look, I'm going to do everything I can to keep you from pornography. Not because I think you're a bad kid. I would have fallen into it too.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't. The only way to get porn was like to find that kid whose dad wasn't paying attention and had like a video, and everyone maybe had a few instances where they were able to do that.
Yep.
I wasn't going to get addicted to that. And it wasn't something because I didn't have access.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to go to the video store and go in the back room. That's what you had to do. Like they'd be like, "Get out of here, bro!" Right? But now you got a phone, and so I'm trying to navigate something. The big issue is still the same. Trying to compare,
Yep.
asking, "Who am I? What am I?" All that. We all did that, but navigating through these challenges, and I know it'll continue to increase. So now, the young parents are dealing with AI. They didn't have AI growing up. So there always will be that, but I do think they'll be a little bit better equipped
Yep.
because they at least dealt with social media, devices, and they know they'll be the first to be like, no way, because I know what I did when I was your age.
Well, and coming back to porn use is, again, the statistics are very high for guys. I mean, they say 70% for Christian guys, right? Is that 70% Christian?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's way higher outside of the church, and even 40% for women. And you mentioned in your sermon on Sunday, the highest group of ED users is 18 to like 25.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, they've
Got a couple people say, first time I've ever heard ED in a sermon. Didn't explain it for the young kids.
Yep.
But
it's true.
why pornography is brought up so often.
It's destroying young men's brains. That teenage boys.
Gambling's next.
Well,
because they can gamble, especially boys.
But what we're seeing is teenage boys who have, from such an early age, watched so much porn.
Yeah.
That they're now, you're seeing two things. They cannot actually become erect for a real woman.
Yeah.
And two, like they're starting to try these things, and like the amount of violence too that's occurring is just,
it's all fake. It's not real.
Exactly. What they don't realize is it's acting. Like these aren't real. These women are being used and abused. One out of every 5 videos they will watch online is actually a sex trafficked woman.
Yeah. It's
disgusting.
The whole thing is nasty.
And yet and again, I think it's Arizona considered it a statewide crisis, where now we really need to start figuring out ways to get this under control.
So it's apparent, but there is so many things now.
So many resources.
Yeah, where you can see. I remember when Nathan was, through high school, I had a thing where I could actually, it flagged even his text messages.
Yep. Brick? Was it Brick? I know we have a bunch of people who use Brick.
Brick didn't exist. Gosh, I forget what it was called now. But there's a lot of different ones, and I know like then you can almost go a little too far with like the Life 360, and like I'm not saying it's bad, but just like like sometimes like, all right, like you need to let them experience something. Like you said, we're not snowplow.
Yeah.
So it's like finding that balance, and it's so hard because we don't really understand it ourselves, parents, and the parents now, like they had the desktop log, and the dial up and all that. And
I used that in the sermon.
Huh?
I used dial-up tone in the sermon.
Yeah.
that was a thing.
Now the spinny signal, and it's just like...
I know, when we have to wait, when like a website doesn't load in 2 seconds.
Like,
and
forget it. Not worth it. Open TikTok. TikTok will serve me.
That's right.
Or I will serve it.
Yeah, seriously.
So what do you think the average adult, not parent, so maybe a little bit older, or they don't have kids yet, or whatever, just the average adult who probably, if they're being honest, just looks the other way when teenagers are around because they don't know how to deal with that foreign entity. What can, especially in a church perspective, because usually I think the assumption is that teenager doesn't want me to talk to them. Mm-hmm. And some of them absolutely are introverts. Sure. But is that really the case? What can they do?
Well, so teenagers are all like us New Englanders, right? They're like, you got to earn the right.
Yeah.
But teenagers, again, while they are, they're learning independence and they're struggling through a vast amount of hormonal changes and identity stuff going on, the number one desire of a teenager is to belong. Number one desire.
Yeah.
Like, again, they're asking themselves, who am I and why am I? And they're trying to find a collective of people who are coming to the same answer and conclusion as them.
Yeah.
And so what we can see as they're going through all this crazy changes, right? They're still desperate for consistency. And so us more mature adults, we get the honor and privilege of kind of coming alongside of them. And what they really want in the midst of that is they don't want us to be teenagers. They don't.
Right. We don't act like it.
We don't have to act like teens, right? Like what's that scene from Mean Girls where she's like, I'm the cool mom, whatever, right? Like they don't want that.
Right.
They actually, deep down,
they don't want their friends to be attracted to their dad.
No. No.
That's just like mortifying. Please don't. Please stop.
But what they want is someone to show them that they matter.
Yeah.
Right. And they're so used to, right? You come back to the performance culture that they're in. They're so used to the adults in their life telling them that, hey, this is the standard that you need to be at. Right. They're so used to being talked down to and told, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. Rather than an adult who says, hey, tell me who you are. Right. And that takes time because teenagers, again, they're not going to initially be like, cool, an adult, I really want to. But when you create a space or an intentionality to just talk to teenagers, to get to know them, And again, one big thing for teenagers is remembering their name. I know that sounds so silly, but like I drill that into our team. Remember their name, because they're so used to being thought of as less than an adult. So when an adult actually remembers who they are, wall comes down.
Yeah.
Holy cow. You remember me?
Right.
And so immediately it's like, whoa, like I matter to you.
Right.
You remembered something about me. And so that you just start to peel back these layers. So an adult or a parent, really what you need to do is you need to take an interest in what your kids are interested in. Because they're so used to being told I have to measure up to an adult standards. But when we as adults take an interest in what they're interested in, enter into their world, much like Jesus became incarnate and took an interest in us and came down and became one of us, we need to have that incarnate sense as adults that what matters to them needs to matter to me. And then we need to create the space for them to ask questions. And we need to create and cultivate a space where they can answer in the way that we don't want them to answer. If that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
We need to create a space where if we've been raising our kid in the faith and they're like, hey, I don't believe in Jesus yet. Right? To not be like, how dare you? Like you've been coming to church forever. Be like, hey, you know what? Okay.
Right.
I understand. And to create space for those messy, difficult conversations. To create space for our teenagers to a healthy degree to disagree with us. And say like, I hold a different opinion than you. Because when you give teenagers that space, it's shocking for them. But then it makes them say, oh, I feel like I matter. And again, it's so easy. And again, like I really struggle with the behavior management that we try to put on teenagers of like, we just need to get them to act the right way. And I'm like, good luck with middle school boys, man. But if you can, again, create a space with healthy boundaries where you allow them the freedom to feel like they can express themselves and be themselves and might not always say the things you want to hear, but you create that space where there's that openness of dialogue, that's the first step.
Yeah.
But it starts with teenagers are not going to come to you and be like, man, I know that we don't really have a relationship, but I would just love to bear things. We as adults need to be intentional.
Yeah, I like what you said. Don't try to be a teenager. But also expect that they might look around like, why is this whack job talking to me?
Yes.
But inside, they really love it.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, if they're a hyper introvert and you're over there going,
Yep.
they don't love that. But if you're just like, hey, how's things been going? How's soccer been going this year? Like, they might be like, why are you talking to me? But inside, they're going to be like, you care about me.
Yes.
And so don't expect. I mean, some teens will absolutely have great social skills and will and you're going to gravitate towards them because it's easier.
Yep.
But if you go up to a teenager and be like, hey, I heard you're playing basketball, or you heard you're in the band this year, like, how's that going? And or whatever it is, and they might just kind of look around like, why is this joker talking to me? But they will feel valued and loved.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that takes time, right?
Right.
Again, we talk about earning the right to be heard.
Yeah.
And but it's those, and again, I even challenge too, like when they tell you that, remember their name, remember what they told you, remember that they had a basketball game, remember that they had a play, because again, it's just going to continue to just pull down the walls of I'm unimportant to people older than me.
Yeah.
I had another thought while you were talking that just went, but
it's over there somewhere.
It probably is. But yeah, right. And we as adults, I think too, like I remember being a teenager and my dad was in his 30s. No, he was in his 40s. Right. But I remember like looking at him and being like, man, you have it all together. And now, and to a degree, as I've gotten older, like there's been a little bit more vulnerability, but I think we as parents need to be more vulnerable and humble about our shortcomings. Right? Because again, our teenagers are going to look at us and be like, I'm not, right? They're already hearing, I'm not, right? And then at home, they're like feeling even more like, again, when we as parents, we rightfully discipline our children when they're wrong, But oftentimes, I don't think to a degree that they hear, right, in this performance-based culture that they're constantly falling short. And we as parents need to be, and adults need to be more vulnerable about our shortcomings as well.
Yeah.
And again, this idea of it's okay to mess up. It's okay to be broken, right? Like we are sinners. We fall short, right? And sure, there are consequences to sin, but like we need to be more open about our brokenness, because that's really where healing becomes. Because if we're not vulnerable, then these kids are just going to keep holding it inside, and eventually it's going to explode, and it's going to develop bad coping mechanisms, or they're going to hurt themselves. And yeah, I just, yeah.
Have you seen, because the more we go in society, the more broken homes that are raising kids. So broken people who haven't maybe dealt with their own stuff, now raising teenagers, it's not going to go very well. Have you seen the ramifications of that? Yeah.
Yeah. And again, we've got teenagers, they put on faces, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, when home is broken, and again, like, hear me, like, I guess if you're a teenager and you're listening to this podcast, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Like, I need you to hear that it's not your fault. But when you come from a broken home and there's no place for you to feel that security and that safety, that's going to overflow into every area of your life, and everything's going to feel unstable. Mm-hmm. And so, parents, fight for your marriages. Fight for your marriages. Do whatever it takes. Mm. Don't just stay together because it's the best thing for the kids, but actually genuinely fight for your marriage.
Right.
Because divorce doesn't just affect mom and dad. It upturns and uproots is a better word. The entirety of your teenager's identity and security.
Yeah, but I like how you put it, because sometimes staying together is worse, because like if you're not going to fight for your marriage and all they see is fighting and hatred all the time.
That was my household growing up.
Yeah, that's worse.
That was my household. That's what I said.
So I'm not saying, go get divorced, but it's like try to create a home that's your child can thrive in. Yeah. And it's hard because we are broken people.
Yes.
Regardless of how well together we have it, we got our own problems. And so that is where the humility comes in. And just be like, man, yeah, I mess up. I do this, I do that. I shouldn't, and just owning it. I think owning it to our teenagers as they get older, it's okay. They're not going to just, like, if you're like, yeah, I have this problem right now, they're not going to go do it because like, oh, well, dad or mom has this problem, so I'm going to start doing it. They're going to respect you for that and realize, oh, you have problems too.
And then, but when you go to them and you say, hey, I have this problem and here's how I'm working through it, your teenager's then going to understand the format and the structure for, I have a problem, so I go talk to mom and dad about it. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, what they see is what they practice. Yeah. They aren't going to confess their sins to you unless you're confessing your sins.
Yeah.
Right? They aren't going to repent or apologize or serve or act with humility unless they see you serving and repenting and acting with humility. It starts with us.
Yeah.
These things are caught, not taught.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard because adults were, there's, me obviously being a pastor and you to some degree as well, working with adults, like they're not, most of the time do not have it together. I mean,
I've sometimes joked that adults are just 8th graders who pay taxes, with mortgages. Yeah, but
especially again, like I said, it's not, and divorce is part of it, but just the brokenness of culture, and now you're just, all right, you're a parent now.
Yeah,
nobody has trained you. You didn't have good parents yourself, maybe, and now you got to figure it out. Of course, it's going to go poorly.
Yeah, what I wish, and again, I say this to everyone, is go to marriage counseling.
Yeah.
Go to marriage counseling. You have a great marriage? Go to marriage counseling.
Or put yourself, too, around, especially in the church, other parents who are doing it. They're not going to be perfect, but they're doing it well.
Yeah.
And learn from them if you don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
It's not It's not a YouTube.
Ask the dumb questions about parenting. Ask the dumb questions about marriage, right? Chances are there are other people who feel like they can't do it.
Don't just get it from TikTok
No.
because it might be good advice, but it's all programmed.
Yes.
For views. And so
Yes.
they're not going to be honest. I mean, some maybe, I'm not saying nobody, but like there's nothing like the real thing where you could just actually go to someone's house and just be like, oh, I thought you were the perfect parent, but you just snapped and you got a dirty bathroom and and that makes me feel a lot better about myself. How do you handle this situation? Because now we have parents trying to perform.
Yes.
And compare.
The amount of parent guilt and parent shame. And like my kid this, my kid that. I very intentionally keep that language out of my vocabulary.
Yeah.
Because every kid's different. And parents are already struggling enough to then feel like I'm not parenting my kid well enough is just like yeah.
And then you put the pressure on them, even if you're not doing it on purpose. Yeah, it's oof. So I would say, because there's obviously been a drastic rise in anxiety and depression.
Yes.
Is it, in your opinion, mostly because of these things we've already talked about, or are there other factors to it?
I'll say all of the factors, yes, and the visibility around it. And it's again like back when we were in the pandemic and you saw suicidality just skyrocket. I mean, it was a social contagion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it. People are even encouraging. There are deep, dark places, Jamie, where like it's encouraged.
Yeah. Like you said, again, the internet can really broaden that.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past, you might have had the one creep in the hallway, you could kill yourself or something stupid, or write a note.
But even
something.
bullying too. We haven't talked about bullying.
Yeah.
Right. The amount of times that kids just say kill yourself. Like it's just like kill yourself is like the new F you.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd rather you say F you than kill
Seriously.
yourself.
Me too.
Rather you say neither, for the record. But if you're going to choose one. Yeah, bullying is huge because, and we know this as adults because you see adults bullying adults.
Oh, yeah.
You say things online you wouldn't say to someone in the face. 90% of the time, the crap you sling online, you're going to say that to someone. Not just because they might punch you in the throat, but because you look at them in the eye, they're a real human being, and you're like, you're the dumbest, you should die. Like, you're not going to do that.
No.
So teeenagers, man, it's like...
Well, and so we have quote-unquote mature brains, right? Although, again, sometimes I would argue that our emotional we never learn to emotionally regulate as kids, which, by the way, parents, please teach your kids emotional regulation because now we've got, 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds who've never learned to emotionally regulate, and that's dangerous too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you don't go in the comments section on things.
Yeah.
I think that should just be a rule of thumb that if you see something, don't go in the comments section because unless you're like, God, I'm really struggling with things to pray for today, then go in the comments section because that will deliver every time. Right. But yeah, the comments section is just going to be hate slinging and people who are so my side is better than your side. I refuse to listen to anything else. But when you put teenagers into that mess, when they're forming their identities and their brains are forming, it's so destructive. So destructive. And of course, when you again, if they're saying, who am I? And they're like, you're an idiot, kill yourself. Right? They're like, and I already feel like nothing. Like, okay, well then that's the next step.
Yeah.
And so that's
and
why
then it's like anything goes and there's a zero decorum at all. And then you fall into it yourself, saying something to somebody that you shouldn't say. And it's just, and then you just feel horrible about yourself because you just told someone to go kill themselves. Mm-hmm. And now you feel even less about yourself. The whole thing is a cycle of like a toilet bowl. And then the politics stuff, and I don't even know if politics is the right word, the issues, political world issues, the crazy polarization that we have, they're wrapped up in it. Well, I mean, when I don't know about you, but like when I was a teenager, I could care less about who the heck was running for president. to some degree, maybe I should have cared more. And granted, I grew up in the 80s. It was just like Reagan's going to win, and then whatever, Bush won. And then eventually you got to Clinton, and it was like, what is going on here? And I think that was when a lot of that stuff started in social media. But it's like they're all like taking these sides and it's like.
Because I grew up, when I can remember middle school, I had George W. Bush as president, and then he was 2004 to 2008. And then Barack Obama was elected my senior year of high school. My senior year.
Clinton in there. Clinton in the 90s.
Clinton was...
Oh, George after Clinton. You're talking about the second George Bush, Yeah.
And so, but like, I just remember like my friend being like, George Bush is an idiot. And I was like, okay, George Bush is an idiot.
Yeah.
You know, like that's, but like that was the only political.
They heard it from their dad.
They heard it from their dad, right? I had no ability whatsoever to like go in and listen to everything George Bush said, or I didn't know his political opinions.
Right.
I had like, didn't care. I didn't care.
It's adult stuff. Don't care.
Don't care. And you know what? Praise God that I didn't have access to that stuff. Because I just like.
And everything now, even sports, it's like to get views, you got to take wild takes and yell them at people. And the more crazy they are, the more views. Because it's all going to be negative, but you're going to get the views.
Well, I remember when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there were videos circulating online of a guy in a hat tipping off the shooter, right?
Yeah.
Tipping off the shooter.
Poor guy just had like a...
Well, that guy was Frank Turek, who is one of a favorite apologist of mine.
Yeah.
And he was like, you guys are all talking about me. He's like, guys, like, I was adjusting my hat because it was hot. But you got all these people like forming all these conspiracy theories and all these hate things that are trickling down to kids that really shouldn't be hearing these things.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like, I get it. Politics are, I don't know.
So
I struggle with politics,
maybe
but
the internet is evil.
I think
said it isn't,
I think
but...
people are evil, and the internet. I think people are evil, and the internet is a tool that can multiply their evil.
Yeah, which is another reason to wait on it and to filter it, and to have discussions about it. Hey, what did you see today?
Constant, and that's
what videos you watching these days?
And that's exactly it, Jamie. Is like, and again, we need to remind
the moon landing isn't real. You'd be like, okay, let's talk. You know? Did you know the Earth is flat? 6'7". And you'd be like, all right, you're done with the internet for a while.
But to a degree, right? We need to constantly reinforce. Right? We give. I think to a degree, we give our teenagers too much freedom in the in internet sphere.
Yeah.
When we should give them maybe more freedom to go outside and fall on the ground and hurt yourself a little bit.
Hopefully not 16.
Hopefully not. It was 14 stitches. 14 stitches. He's okay. Right. But we give them almost too little freedom to go outside. Right. But someone might kidnap you. Kidnappings are so rare now.
Right.
But the ones that pop up, it's like, we prevent our kids from going outside. We create a fear of the outside and what's helpful. But then we become lax on the things that are actually injuring our teenagers.
Right. Because you're home and you're safe bodily.
Safe.
But you're...
mentally, they're getting destroyed.
Yeah.
So again, reinforce. Phone is a privilege, not a right. Social media is definitely a privilege, not a right. And again, if you are going to have social media, we need to be like, you need to have regular conversations about these things. If you want to keep using this, then you and I, as your parent and you as my child, you need to tell me what you're looking at. And it can just be simple of, I was just looking at brain rot of, some Italian dude singing. And it's like, okay, that's dumb and weird, but thanks, I guess,
I was, a handful of years ago, a good friend's teenage son, and my daughter was in the car too, and he just started saying, it was like totally he was like, yeah, I almost got in a fight today. And I was like, what? Yeah, I met this kid on the Commons to fight. And it was this whole bizarre story, and he ended up, other kid didn't show up, and I was so happy that kids still meet in the Commons.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's probably not good. But I'm like,
wait, the Commons, like at our church or like the Northbridge Commons?
Like one of the towns.
Okay. Yo, bro, come fight me at my church.
We have a gym. We get the mats out. We'll have at it. I just like. I mean, I was a little like, but it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't that dangerous. It wasn't people had guns or weapons or anything like that. And I'm like, but at least they're just being regular kids, like what happened when I was a kid. Oh, they're having a fight. Let's go see it. You know, instead of having a fight on Instagram or TikTok, and it's like that's just like so. You know, and I'm not saying fighting is good. I'm just saying like. Letting them outside and do stuff, they are going to do stupid stuff.
Yes.
Not all of them, but most of them, especially the boys. They're going to say stupid stuff. They're going to do stupid stuff. But just because they're in their room, you think they're playing a video game. They're connected now. They're saying and doing stupid stuff. They're just they're doing it with the whole world.
Well, that's another interesting thing, and particularly in the rise of video games. And I say this as someone who games with our students. Got to put time limits on those too.
Yeah.
Right? You got to. Because... especially for guys, we are conquerors. It's how God made us.
Yeah.
But we can very easily take our desire to conquer and think that virtual reality is the place to do it.
Yeah.
And that just makes us weak.
Yeah, you're not.
And again, I'm not shaming video games.
Right.
I love video games, but like that's
and
why
it can
that's
become
why
a
like
problem.
but that's also why I play airsoft with our boys. I'm like, guys, like, come on, you play Call of Duty, let's do it in real life, right?
But you do see the last like 15 years or more where it becomes a problem in marriages because, you know, my generation, that just wasn't the case for the most part because I had video games, but it was like Sega Genesis and I matured out of it. I thought, I was like, I mean, okay, I don't really want to do this anymore. Or if I had a wife who's like, let's not do that, I'd be like, I don't need to do this, right? But they're phenomenal now. The graphics and the amazing games to play. It's amazing. So I get wanting to do it, but if you don't learn as a kid to control that, now you're, you know, playing games all night and, you know, you're not spending time with your family. It becomes like the same thing as
it's the same
the
thing as the
bottle
phone.
or anything else, the phone or, you know.
This is more important to me than you.
Yeah. Well... I don't think we solved any problems today, but I really wanted to have you on because I wanted people who maybe aren't in the teenage world or very limited, you know, because you might, especially in church, you might be doing a great job with your teenager and they're not online and you might not know what's out there, but it is out there and eventually they're going to experience it. And so you got to prepare them for it. That doesn't mean you expose them to the ocean. But you do have to prepare them for it and know what's out there. Yeah. And also know what they're struggling. Like if they say they're anxious, they're upset, they're depressed, like take I'm not saying bring them to the hospital right away, right? That takes a little more for that, but like take it seriously.
And again, like you and I, we've talked about this at length, but parents, listen, if your teenager says, hey, I'm thinking about killing myself or I want to hurt myself,
gotta take it seriously.
Take it seriously. Take them to the hospital. Even if they're like, whoa, I was kidding. Doesn't matter. You show your teenager that is important to you because you say, I care far more about you being alive than anything else.
Yeah.
And so, right, and I've dealt with that with parents where we had a parent whose kid said that to her and she was like, nope, we're going to the hospital. And the kid was like, oh, but it was a joke. And I was like, nope, you don't get to joke with me away. So put her in the ER through all the tests, right? To basically say, listen, I take this seriously.
Yeah.
I take you seriously. And actually, it was a pretty pivotal moment in their relationship where they were able to build trust and start to have more conversations and things. But yeah, take that.
But even at the lower levels of that, where they're not saying that, they're not suicidal or hurting themselves, but they're clearly sad about something. They're depressed about something. Instead of just being like, get over it.
I'm tired, right? That's what you're going to hear from a teenager.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Talk to them and be like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Why are you nothing? So you gotta get through all that.
Yep.
Just be like, and earn that trust. But you gotta like, why are you sad?
And you and I could probably have another podcast about that. Really, how to have conversations with teenagers or young people. Like I've actually done a lot of research into that. How to come alongside of like
great for Holy Youth.
It would be great for Holy Youth. My Holy Youth Ministry podcast that I haven't filmed in 2 years, wouldn't it? Yeah.
No, but I think it could be. You know, it's hard because you got enough to do. But like sometimes with youth ministry, it's training parents and grandparents and caregivers because so much has changed. Yeah. We're like, oh my goodness, you know, I didn't deal with this as a kid. I don't know how to deal with this. You know, it's changing a little because I think a lot of our parents did deal with it. Yeah. To some degree. with the devices and stuff, because I'm old now, so it's my generation's kind of out of the teenage game.
Yeah.
But there's still new stuff. Like, are you letting them use AI for all of their homework assignments? Like, is that a good thing, do you think?
Yeah.
I've read AI, and it needs a ways to go. It's not that great yet. It does help with certain things, for sure. But a lot of times you're just like, oh, that's stupid. I'm just going to write it myself. But it's a lazy way out. So all of these things you got to be aware of, and I think communication just becomes the
You can't ever over communicate with your teenager.
Yeah.
Ever.
And man, it's so hard when they're not a talker, right?
But that's where
I had two kids, and my daughter Grace and she would climb up me head, but she's more of a sharer. My son is an introvert, and he's like, it's fine, and I believed him. Like, now looking back at the amount of times he had great anxiety, and I had no idea as his dad, and we're close. I spent all kinds of time with him, but he was just really good, and it's so hard because you're just like trying to navigate that, but you got to do your best.
Yep.
You know, and if your teenager actually does communicate, then pursue it.
Yeah.
What's going on with your friends? How's it going? You know, but they got to trust you. You can't be calling, you know.
And you got to take an interest in them. Do it alongside. Have those conversations like shoulder to shoulder. This is just one small thing. I know this sounds silly. Actually, sitting across from them and talking to them actually kind of feels intimidating to them.
Yeah, so the car
is the good place, or sitting on the couch together doing something shoulder to shoulder is less intimidating.
Yeah,
like it's just small.
Do a craft project if they
like little
doing
things.
Build a Lego set.
Yep, going for walks together, all those things. Just small little things that you can do to stimulate and facilitate more conversation.
You know, it's funny though with my daughter Grace. She was always so quiet in the car. She still is. I don't know what it is about the car, but you ask her questions like, But other times she would definitely have a conversation with you. But the car was just like,
gotta find those.
But usually, because you're confined.
Yeah.
You can't walk away. You can't. You're not necessarily going to look at your phone.
Yeah. The best conversations I have with my 7-year-old are after we've played a day where we've been able to play soccer together.
Yeah.
Where we've spent all that time. We've laughed. We've goofed. Right. She just started playing Minecraft with me a little bit.
Yeah.
So we talk about our farm and that and everything. But then the best conversations are at the end of the night, where she's just, hey, how was your day? And it's just.
Right. Because she trusts you.
Yes.
Yeah. And it gets harder.
But
sure if you've established that, it will still happen.
Yep.
Just in different ways, and you know, more frustrating, I'm sure, at times, but it will happen because you've laid that groundwork. Yep. So, all right. Well, we could talk forever on this, but I do appreciate. We're gonna try to get a couple of our teens on to talk from similar things, but from their perspective, what are they seeing and what are they experiencing? But I thought it would be good because you have the much bigger picture in it all the time, and talking with these teenagers, and they're so awesome, and God's doing so many amazing things that I want our adults in our church and our community to be like, man, to see them for who they are. They're really awesome, talented.
They are,
and
they're taking up the mantle of faith.
Yeah,
they're like just it's cool to see teenagers bringing their parents to church now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's almost flipped in a generation.
Yeah, and it makes some sense. You know, I think, especially our millennials and older, kids think of church as boring, right? No, these kids out there, not obviously our church kids, church families, but the kids that are out there, they have no idea what happens in a church. They don't think of it as boring. They might think of it as scary and intimidating.
Yes. But
they're intrigued by it.
Yes.
They're not, I'm going to go to church. Yep. That's 30 years ago. That's why to still do a seeker-friendly church to me is silly. That worked. It probably wasn't good, but it worked in the early 2000s because you were reaching a generation of kids who were church but ran away because it was too boring. It didn't connect with them. We have smoke machines in a Starbucks now. Oh, okay, I'll come back to church. Our kids now, like, who cares? I'll go to a smoke machine. I'll go to a Starbucks down the road. Like, I don't need this. But to your point, they're intrigued by it.
Yes.
And so don't assume they're not. Don't assume talking about God is taboo to them.
They want truth.
Yeah.
And Jesus is the way, the truth, and life.
Right.
And we have that answer, and it's found nowhere else.
Right. They may argue with you because they're now in a culture where it's okay to argue with everybody.
Sure.
And that's probably sometimes not good, and sometimes it is good. That they're willing to share their opinion, even if it's completely unfounded and ridiculous.
Yep. Well, they are teenagers.
Exactly. Yeah. So, all right, man. I appreciate you coming on, and
love it.
Hopefully, whoever sees this podcast will
maybe this will inspire me to do some more Holy Youth ministry.
maybe not. See what happens. See what pops up.
That's right.
All right, thanks, man.
Cheers,
See ya.
bro.